Hello, good evening. Depending on the time you're watching me from, I'm Comrade Gift Fidelist. Today, I want to talk about military interventions in African countries. It is unprecedented to note that in the history of modern civilization, corruption has been the anti-very heart in the destruction of Africa. That is why we have political instability. That is why corruption is very high. And that is why we have bad roads. That is why we do not have good educational sector. It is one of the reasons that we do have some military intervention in Africa. But I want to note in this concept that military intervention sometimes it happens in Africa to undermine Africa. It started in 1961 with Sylvanus Olympios, and Togo has never remained the same. And it happens in Mali in 1963 with Modibo Keita, and Mali has never remained the same. It comes to even Osaji for Kwame Nkrumah himself. In 1966, he was assassinated. There was vehicle detect in Ghana. All his speeches were burned. All his writings were burned, not to read about. And until Kuti Achiampok Ignatius rehabilitated him in 1976. And it happens in January 1966, vehicle detect in Nigeria. In 1967, they assassinated Dr. Inamzi Benjamin Chukwuemeka Azikiwe, and even Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa himself. All of them, they were assassinated. Vehicle detect in Togo, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Mali, in Congo. They were vehicle detect. Begging the question, sometimes why is it that they used our military sector in order to fight the good government that we have? If you see Africans have a good government does not reach 1 year via coup d'etat. Recently, we have via coup d'etat in Burkina Faso, in Niger, in Mali. This is type of the military interventions we need in Africa to eliminate corruption, to eliminate bad governance, instability, incompetency in Africa. That is the types of military interventions we need, not the type of military interventions that they will use our military sector in order to undermine us. We don't need that types of military intervention. Now, there is something that Julius Kambarage Nyerere says in his concept of Ujamaa. In his concept of Ujamaa, he believed in socialisms, which is the conclusiveness in governance. Everybody that is part and parcel of the government have to include in the decision processes, the decision making of the government. Ujamaa. I actually applaud his effort of uniting Africa, but then he was undermined by his resources. And again, in January 2011, if I'm not mistaken, NATO taking decision to assassinate Muammar al-Gaddafi in Libya. Muammar al-Gaddafi, he was not just a national hero, but he was a continental hero. He was an African hero that we applaud his effort to our 21st century, because he were trying to unify Africa. We should have our own United States of Africa. We should have our own military. We should have our own currency backed by gold. But NATO already has taken the decision to kill Gaddafi. Recently, we hear from the President Museveni. He recently narrated to us that they were planning to travel to Libya to mediate on what Gaddafi told them about the unifications of Africa, but they were stopped by NATO because NATO has already taken decision to kill Muammar al-Gaddafi. So now, begging the question, why is it that we always like to disunite? And Osaji for Kwame Nkrumah in 1966, they have a meeting in Accra, Ghana, where he thought that after that meeting there will be what we called the United States of Africa, but yet he was betrayed by the Nigerians. He was betrayed by some of the African countries. There are a lot of our heroes that they have made an attempt to bring change, to transform, to revolutionize Africa, but yet their effort was being sabotaged, especially the effort of Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah when he was being assassinated in 1966. All his speeches were burned. Nobody should read about in Ghana, in Africa entirely, in the whole world, until Ignatius Kuti Achiampong rehabilitated him in 1976. Now, this advice goes to us, the young youth of Africa. When you look at the history of revolutions that happened in the various countries, you get to understand that revolution happens with the effort that the youth of the certain country or the certain continent put in order to have revolution. We could remember the movement that led by Martin Luther and Albert Rafana. All of them, they were young people. The revolution that happened in Russia, all of them was by the young people, and massacre in Mashville massacre in South Africa was by the young people, and in in Arab world is by the young people. But I wonder why our young people in Africa, we are only based on what we call entertainment industry. We have married ourselves to entertainment industry to the extent that we don't know about our history. We don't know about our own identity. It pains me a lot, specifically when you go to program and you're speaking English. You don't know how to speak English. People laugh at you. This is what we call neo-colonization. It is also a concept that was written by Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah. We have to liberate the mind. We have to understand that English is not our language, and we have to appreciate the effort of each and every one of us that is speaking English, because English is not our language. You go to program, you go to occasions, people doesn't know how to speak English, you laugh at them. I laugh at those people that laugh at those people that doesn't know how to speak English, because English is not our native language. Wake up. We have to try to see how we can decolonize the mind. That is why you see in the hot sun, we wear suit. We don't know that suit was meant only for the Western people, because their weather, it is very cold enough that they like to wear suit even in the afternoon. But you come to Africa in the hot afternoon, we are wearing suit. This is all the form of neo-colonization. As I speak to you now, our youth has already married themselves into entertainment industry. They don't care to read about the book that were written by people like Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah. Books like Conscientisms, Dark Days in Ghana, is written about the unifications of Africa, or Africa must unite.